Hello everybody, this is Steve Yoder. Welcome to week 7, the final week in Legal Studies 457, 557, Business Law for Accountants, here in the spring semester of 2022 at the UAB Collat School of Business. We have a very important set of topics to talk about today, this week. How you as accountants might be found legally liable in your careers. And the second very related topic is business ethics. First, let's look at the extra credit opportunity we had for last week. This was a little bit more difficult question. It required more than just a quick Google search and firing off a quick message without really looking further. I told everybody in the video announcement in Canvas that you had to look to the end on this one. The story, which relates to the topic we had last week of who is an independent contractor and who is an employee, was the story of Proposition 22, which started as an effort to undo a law that had been passed by the California legislature and is still up in the air right now because it has been challenged in court. It has gone back and forth as to whether or not a so-called gig worker is an employee, or is that person an independent contractor? And that makes a big difference because if you are an employee, you are entitled to employee benefits. If you are not, you are not entitled to employee benefits. But let's remember that today, I'm releasing this on Monday the 25th, a reflective memo is due for those of you in the Section 557 part of the course, and a reflective memo is not the kind of memo that you would normally write in a business setting because it requires that you look inside yourselves and tell me how you feel about something. I know what the facts are. You have to tell me what the facts are, but the facts are not what really is at issue here. It's what effect this has had on you. So the instructions make all of that clear. As far as legal liability, there are a number of ways that might happen. I hope it does not happen for you in your careers as accountants. One would be that you might be found liable for a contract. A second might be that you would be found liable for not being careful, otherwise known as negligence. And usually the way that is measured for accountants is by generally accepted audit standards, for auditors, I should say. Here is a very interesting situation in Europe, but one of the big four accounting firms was the auditor for a firm that was found to have undertaken a huge fraud, and it cost investors $2 billion. I will put a link in the video to the Fortune magazine article about the one thing that Ernst & Young could have done that would have prevented the fraud. Some people say, at least. A CPA can also, of course, be found liable for intentionally doing wrong. Congress, about 20 years ago, got fed up with the auditing profession and decided that it was not regulating itself sufficiently, so it passed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which has just a buffet of ways that Congress wanted to regulate accountants and auditors. You can be found liable separately under various rules when you prepare taxes. Here's the definition of a tax return preparer. As accountants, you have a number of duties under your professional codes of conduct, including the duty to keep your client confidences, and then there's also a concept of privilege, similar but not as broad as the concept of an attorney-client privilege that can keep certain things out of court if they are actually a client seeking advice from a professional. The Code of Professional Conduct of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants calls bad acts, bad ethical acts discreditable, and we will be looking at those. Finally, we will be looking at the general concept of business ethics and how that differs from everyday ethics, which I would call morals. Businesses try, at least on paper, to have ethical work environments. Everybody has a code of conduct. There are many different ways to decide whether something is ethical or not. I don't have one way that I would say is the right way, but I do think that you should choose one way and then follow through on it. Here are a couple of examples. If you're going to have an ethical code of conduct, you should be following through on it. The case 3.1 in your textbook is an example of how a medical school did that with a medical student. Accounting firms, auditing firms are very serious about this issue of ethics, and they have a great deal of training that if you have not already undergone that, you will undergo that. Here's an example of what KPMG, one of the big four, has done. You do have this assignment that is due on Tuesday the 26th. There is no right or wrong answer, but you do have to go into that and choose one answer, and then the answers of this class I will post in an announcement, and what the class's consensus was on this will be a question on the third exam. So A, you must take the exam if you want the one question survey if you want credit, and B, you have to look at what the results are because there will be a question. So finally, here's our last calendar. Today is Monday, August 25. The reflective memo is due today. The professional responsibility survey is due tomorrow. The last set of CPA client surveys must be posted on VoiceThread inside of Canvas by 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday night, the 27th. And then there are several things due on Friday, the 29th of April, which is the last day of the semester. All courses at UAB close on the 29th. And most importantly, of course, the final exam will be closing that day, having opened on Wednesday afternoon, April 27 at 5. And I certainly congratulate all of you for this sprint of a 7-week course that you have done. I'm proud of how hard most of you have worked on this, and I certainly wish you all just the very best in your professional careers.